Okay, let's see. Got that right. Hi, everybody. And it is 10:40 p.m. here on December 23rd, 2025. Sad day for our family. Um, because we miss our Omi. We miss our Omi. My grandmother passed away on this day many years ago. So it's always a little bittersweet. Um, and we have Christmas to look forward to, and that gives us great hope, comfort. Okay, so hopefully my voice will hold out, and we are at looks like everything is working, and we are at 1,970 days. We're inching up on that 2,000 day mark. 1,970 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and taken to the basement room that has the arms room, that is a soundproof room, and his life was taken there. And um, and there's proof, right? We have pictures. We have the seal on the door. We have the uh, unauthorized, not following protocol, total renovation of that room with no expense spared. Um, you know, the metadata doesn't put together everything that we have and that we've experienced, especially the shaking soldiers. You have to write it down, the shaking soldiers, but I don't think the metadata fully gets all of our experiences, and what Find Richard Halliday, the posts on there are attempting to do is trying to relate that reality to the public. And that's a hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to do because there are bad actors, um, suspects out there. Like, people don't realize that Bob Moore is part of the case. They think he's just some kind of reporter reporting on Richard Halliday, but that's not the case at all. He's absolutely tied to the cartel. He's tied to Manny Chavira. He's tied to A&R Chavira Auto Group. He was tied to the targeting of Richard when Richard was a whistleblower. Okay, and then he headed the smear campaign after he's no more alive, which is unheard of when a soldier is not alive anymore, for the media just to constantly 5 years, pay tons of money to run a smear campaign on Richard Halliday. And that's because Bob Moore was in on it, was in on the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. Okay. Absolutely in on it. In on it. Eh, he knew about the Mayellas, didn't report it. He knew about Patrick Crucius, didn't report it. He knew that Richard was a whistleblower and didn't report it. He knew that his family is connected to A&R Chavira, who attempted to frame Richard by setting him up, by trying to set him up and targeting him, um, and it didn't work. It didn't work, and I think that that's why they have to continue to throw money into this smear campaign against Richard, because the main thing that Richard was reporting on was the thing that scared them the most. Okay, the thing that made them mad the most is that he was an uncompromised soldier, distinguished honor graduate, soldier, stellar soldier, that would not go along with their intimidation, and was absolutely prepared to testify for President Trump in the Walmart mass orchestration, in the shooting, in the Walmart shooting orchestration, and all the cover up and everything. Our reports are that Dallas Hart went AWOL right after the August 3rd, 2019 uh, Walmart mass shooting. Why was that? And why is it that it's him and his family and all the connections there, this criminal group that is totally connected to the Walmart mass shooting, that's also connected to targeting our son? Okay, one person could be a coincidence, but I'm talking about the whole lot of them. The whole lot of them. And why are they tied to funeral homes, and why are they tied to Purchase Funeral Home, who handled the bodies in the Walmart mass shooting? And why are they connected to El Paso Community Foundation, which handled all the victims' funds, over $12 million victims' funds that we know was fraudulently distributed? And, the metadata wants you to say, oh, alleged or whatever. No, we know. We know. We've done the hard work. We've done the hard work and the paperwork, and um, to confidently say what we're saying. And Richard was reporting on the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. Not a lone shooter. No. Not a white supremacist. No. Connected to Trump. No. All the evidence, the records show Patrick Crucius has family ties, major family ties in El Paso, the Mayella family. And I would say um, that there is evidence, circumstantial evidence, that ties the Wood family to more families in El Paso besides the Mayella family. Okay, I'm not going to name names yet, but there is uh, very strong evidence that the Woods had a lot of connections. The Cruciuses had a lot of connections in El Paso. And absolutely a lot of ties. And that's why there was this Steven Spitzer willing to cover for the Mayellas, because there were more. There were more, and um, more connections, more family connections. And, the Jaime Esparza knew that because of James Bonneau, Montoya, who changed his name to Montoya, right? Um, he has a lot of fraudulent problems. But today I have really breaking news, and it is Christmas time, and so I don't want to beat around the bush for too long. I want to absolutely tell everybody what's going on, because it's very clear that the military has dirty operatives in them that are connected to the cartel. It is very clear that the FBI has dirty operatives in there that are connected to the cartel. Um, it is very clear that the AUSA, the prosecutor's office, both the 34th Judicial District and also the Western District of Texas, federal, so you have one state, one federal prosecutor's office, that they are absolutely, they have dirty operatives in there that are connected to the cartel, that the cartel are running El Paso, and that there is a power struggle right now because of the arrests of El Mayo and El Chapo and so many other cartel leaders, and there is this void that is trying to be filled, and that's why you have like a judge that was just executed in Chihuahua just a couple days ago. And absolutely, you see um, the trafficking, the organ trafficking, the baby trafficking, the children trafficking, the weapons trafficking, the fuel trafficking, the drug trafficking. You name it, it's not bolted down. They're going to traffic it. I would say cars parts, um, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff. And then they were cashing in through insurances, um, through humanitarian aid, through insurances, through the VA, getting quid pro quos, absolutely through the VA, quid pro quos. And Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart, his father was the IDS Pueblo in the VA there, that was accused of tampering with files and everything, and giving um, benefits, or dealing in fraud with the benefits that are supposed to go to legitimate veterans. Um, Also, to have the same family people in the mortuary operations, in high positions with authority, with access, with the credentials to tamper with the files. The same thing in the VA, the same thing, uh, Dallas Hart as the platoon leader. And then to have the very, very cartel connection with Nadal Baim, a Palestinian arms dealer, but very connected to the cartel, and that the cartel are very part of this Mormon faction. And Conal Whetten, uh, is in the FBI office there, assistant special agent in charge. And, this is the breaking news. The breaking news is that cartel have confirmed to us that Conal Whetten was their inside man. And I'll say that again. Cartel have confirmed to us that Conal Whetten was their inside man. And now he has the blood of the soldier on his hands. He does. Because the breaking news is that Conal Whetten is the inside man that leaked Richard Halliday's name to the cartel. And not just like a lower level cartel. Don't forget that El Mayo absolutely set in Ray Velarde, his personal lawyer, to do counterintelligence by meeting with Richard personally. He activated it. He was activated. And that set off a chain of command, a chain of the whole, when Conal Whetten leaked Richard's name to the cartel, it was because of the Walmart mass shooting. It was because of the Walmart mass shooting. And because it's treason, right? They had to get rid of the witness for President Trump because they did not want President Trump to win re-election in 2020. They did whatever they needed to do, they would stop at nothing to tamper with the 2020 election against President Trump and in the favor of Biden Harris. So that is huge, huge breaking news, because that is so severe because of the chain of events that were triggered by him giving the cartel Richard's name. And it tells you who were colluding with the cartel. And it was the military. The military was colluding with the military chain of command, were colluding with the cartel. And that's why the soldiers, when we went there, were shaking. Were shaking. They were living in total fear because they were being commanded by cartel operatives, by a chain of command that were serving foreign and domestic enemies, being the cartel, the foreign terroristic organization. For the most part. Not all of them are, but for the most. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. Yeah. And of course, you have Jaime Esparza's role in that, and Steven Spitzer's role in that. But I want to really just focus on the FBI, Conal Whetten, him having in his hands many documents. And and I'm talking about even Lelani Hart's documents, where she's confessing on the worst type of crimes against children. So yeah, he was sitting on all kinds of very important information, but he was not investigating the cartel like he should. He was their cover. He was their inside man. And he put Richard in harm's way. And it led to his death. And so Conal Whetten has blood on his hands. Absolutely blood on his hands. Like Steven Spitzer. So I think that is like really breaking news. And isn't it interesting that the cartel will be the ones that outed Conal Whetten? Okay. With all their quid pro quos, it's still the cartel that exposed Conal Whetten. Yeah, it's speechless. It really is speechless. So, thank you. Praying for justice. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your prayers and your love and your sharing. To pray is to do is to share, to pray is to do, and to do is to pray. And one of those things you can do along with praying is to share the information. And, that is huge, because the only thing that really moves this cog forward for accountability is the people. The people knowing and demanding and not wanting to put up with this anymore, wanting to protect our troops, wanting to hold those that are deceptive like Bob Moore, Um, we tried to contact Bob more like, 15, 17 times. Um, you know, the deception is just incredible. So, we will stay vigilant, and, we're going to, uh, we've had so many victories. And I think that the numbers show that we have the victories. But the numbers show because of the Charlie Kirk case. And that's all breaking because of um, this exploding microphone. That was supposed to be, it's kind of like, it reminds me so much of this orchestrated Walmart mass shooting case, because there's no doubt in my mind we have so much evidence that absolutely proves that it was orchestrated, right? And there's very, very bad actors in there that are part of the cartel, that are part of this group. Um, a lot of them, a lot of them. Is some that would absolutely shock you, because of they're just so used to operating in deception. I think they almost deceive themselves. Um, but this whole Charlie Kirk with the exploding microphone, um, that is so fascinating that they can do that. And it's a little scary because they take out the battery, they put in a little bit smaller battery, they add the explosive material, shut it up, and then you can hold it for years before someone detonates it. It is it's a little scary on that one. And that is like when it exploded, the hunk of, or the magnetic clasp is said to have been the one that accidentally, that God changes everything, right? Unexpectedly, the magnetic clasp is what entered, was shot, because this was not like a radial kind of explosion where it just radiates everywhere, right? It was like more like a water stream, like a hose when you put it on, you know, uh, a real far distance, not a nice spray, but a real hard spray, like you're trying to clean your tires off or something like that, your hubcaps. Um, that kind of direct spray. There is a cone in there. He was explaining this. Don't believe me. I have to listen to the video. But that spray of power, when it exploded, shot the magnetic clasp into Charlie Kirk's neck. That's what this theory is saying. And that was unexpected for this orchestrated hit. They, according to this man who invented body armor and stuff, he's so fascinating to listen to. But he was saying what he believes is that they wanted a chest shot, like to emulate a chest shot, and they had to have a patsy to have that gun on the roof, right? Um, but the main death blow would come from the exploding um, microphone. And there were those black plastic shreds all in the car that Candace Owens showed, and that when you look closely at the wound, it is a blunt object, and a rectangular object falls from it first as it starts to bleed. So they go into all of that, um, and all the timing of it makes sense. How he's describing it makes sense. And so and of course, the whole Fort Huachuca prior meetings, that they're tying into it, the flights that they're tying into it. It sounds so much like Richard's case, with Elmayo being involved and his lawyer being involved and Bob Moore being involved and Woody Hunt being involved with El Paso Community Foundation and the Chihuahuan government being involved in hiding Richard's uh, case and tampering and everything, uh, hiding or his body. Um, but also, um, it sounds so familiar. And what it shows you is that really our government officials are no longer working for us. And even in Mexico, they're no longer working for us. They haven't been working for us for a long time. It absolutely confirms that. And that even the military was not working for us. It was all deception. And that they were in their own little world with their cartel friends trafficking. And if soldiers had to die, ha ha ha, they were tampering with people's lives. They were tampering with America. They were tampering with Mexico, with Chihuahua. And they do it on the taxpayer dime. I mean, Cesar Paneche was stealing the Pemex oil, the people's oil, and then selling it back to them. And he's Attorney General of Chihuahua. Then you have Cesar Duarte, totally embezzling and money laundering and all of that. And his Miss Fong wife, who has the same last name as Mayela Fong of the Dreams Cabaret, where Lonnie Hart was getting her mail. But this whole Fort Huachuca thing shows you that they're using our beautiful bases that we pay for, our soldiers that we pay for, our uniforms, our oil, our cars, our trucks, our all of that we pay for. They're using it to have their little tit for tat power struggles among themselves of who's going to make the most money with all this trafficking and money laundering and all of the money laundering to do with all the contracts, a lot of contracts and a lot of property, right? A lot of property. You wouldn't believe the things we found with all the property laundering. And but they're doing it on, using us. And I just think, my goodness, we need to get rid of the IRS. We need to get rid of these taxes because they're not using them for what they're supposed to be for. It's just fraud. You think Minnesota, billions of dollars of fraud? We're talking about $38 trillion that have been fraudulently attributed to us because we have to pay interest on that debt. That's our debt, not their debt. They don't pay taxes on all their trafficking. They don't pay taxes on all their crime. And so they say, oh, we'll tax the rich. Oh, so the ones that are rich, that are paying taxes, you want to have power over them. That's what that means. Because the real rich, They don't pay taxes because they're trafficking. You think Jeffrey Epstein paid taxes? you know, so they do the same thing. Yes. Talks about the same thing. Yeah. Tubi, documentary, Walmart mass shooting. Okay. All right. They're talking about the other, yeah, the attempted assassinations on President Trump's, those are all connected. I can tell you that right now. They're all connected. This is all connected. And it's, you know, and that's why Charlie Kirk's case is so, uh, it's not that it's interesting to us, of course it is, but we have to pay attention to it because it absolutely is connected. It's the same power struggle, right? The people that wanted Richard dead, like Conal Whetten, he leaked Richard's name to the cartel. Why? Because they could not have a witness for President Trump. They did not want President Trump to be reelected. 100%. And they're working right now. This whole takeover of TPUSA, it's not going to play in Trump's favor. Not when they were down at Fort Huachuca, where there's tunnels and trafficking. No, this is not. Unless, people say, well, maybe Trump's in on it or whatever. Trump has been doing everything against the trafficking. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to claim I know everything. What I do know is that they raided his house. They did whatever they could to stop him. They absolutely had our son killed to stop the truth from coming out about the Walmart mass shooting, about Patrick Crucius, about the orchestration of it, about the Mayelas. That was absolutely an attack on President Trump. So I can tell you that much. So the cases are very important, and it shows you collusion within the military, collusion within the judicial and law enforcement communities. And I'm not saying 100%. I'm saying it's enough. It's enough to really control everything and to intimidate any good actors in there. Anybody that wanted to do their job, there's a lot of intimidation and retaliation. So, too much. So, the last thing I want to say is Conal Whetten leaked Richard Halliday's name to the cartel. Why? Because Richard had filed in complaints about the Walmart mass shooting. He filed complaints. And Conal Whetten gave the cartel a heads up and gave them Richard's name. That's so criminal, y'all. And that is also espionage. And it's so criminal. Okay, thank you so much. God bless you. And